My name is Jim Anderson. I own an automotive service facility in Marion, Iowa. I've spent, I started it from the ground up, one-man operation, and grew it to what it is. Been in business 24 years. I spent several years from about early 2015, right up till COVID, working for one of the well-known shop consulting management companies. As I mentioned, I was out in California every month teaching classes. I speak at a lot of their events. I've been invited and spoke at SEMA and a few other conventions and such. I was one of 3 people in the country certified to do on-site inspections, basically go into a client's shop, watch it run for the day, write a report simply of the good, bad, the ugly with suggestions. And then COVID happened and all that came to a halt. So I currently have the shop here. I also am partners in a coaching company called Real Shop Coaching, where I do coaching with individual shop owners as well. And so Paul and I got to know each other through Shop Boss, and we've had some fun phone calls and got to talking about 4-day work week. And we pretty much pioneered it here in our area. So if you're considering going to a 4-day work week, understand that this is a 6 to 8 week process. You don't just wake up and say, hey, next week we're going to do it. Could you do that? Sure, you do whatever you want. Do I recommend it? Absolutely not. There's lots of steps to doing this, okay? And I'm going to go through all of them. Now, a 4-day work week might not be for every shop out there. A shop that has a lot of fleet accounts that rely on you being available 5 days a week or even 6 days a week, if God forbid you're open on Saturdays, I hope nobody is, but then you may not have a successful opportunity to do that, okay? But for most shops, it is doable. So the first thing you have to do is you have to sit down with your staff and get agreement, okay? You have to get agreement that, hey, I'm thinking of piloting a program, and you tell them that this is a pilot program. Because you always want to leave the door open that, hey, if numbers and statistics and sales and everything go down, we're going to revert, okay? As a caveat, I've worked with many shop owners on doing this. None of them have switched back yet. Okay, so it really does help out. So you sit down, you talk with your staff, explain to them what you want to do, that you're looking at going through a Monday through Thursday work week, and you ask them to go home and talk to their significant others and spouse or whomever that night and come back with the topics and of their discussion. And then the next day you have a meeting and ask them what the other halves thought about it. The reason why this is important is you really got to get some buy-in from everybody, including their support staff around them. What you're really doing is getting them excited about the idea, because I have yet to have a spouse go, nah, that ain't cool. Trust me, the spouse is very much interested in it as well. Okay, and I'll get to some of the reasons why later. The biggest thing is you want them to understand that this is a benefit that you're wanting to offer, but it has to be a two-way street. So then you have to have discussions about the rest of the things. Okay, so some things that you might not think about if you're going to go to a 4-day work week. First of all, Monday through Thursday. Okay, I do not recommend doing a Tuesday through Friday or something like that. And here's why. Customers have a mindset, and they're also off work on weekends typically. If their car breaks and such, and you've got 2 or 3 days of your 4-day work week for car problems to catch up, the phone's going to ring Monday morning. Customers are generally trained that, okay, I got some business to do. I can do it first thing Monday morning. They don't think I can do it Tuesday morning. So I highly recommend Monday through Thursday. I also do not recommend rotation of a 4-day work week. A lot of dealerships do that, and they advertise 4-day work week for technicians. Here's where you get into an issue. If any of you have any technician background and you got one guy that pulled an engine or pulled a head and you expect someone else to put it together when they're gone, that's just a recipe for disaster. And those of you that have worked on cars know exactly what I'm talking about. And the other thing is when you have a 4-day work week and it's a fixed 4 days, okay? If it's rotational, then let's say your significant other comes to you and says, hey, we got a wedding invitation for the weekend of August 8th. And do you think you can be off that Friday and we can go? Well, then they got to go, wait, I got to go to work, see if that's my Friday. No, it's Joe's Friday. Then he's got to go to Joe, see if Joe can switch. It's a hassle. My staff knows they always have every Friday. We're closed. The entire staff is gone Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So when it comes to planning things in their personal life, They always know. And that's a lot of what this is about. This is about work-life balance, and affording your staff that opportunity to have time. Okay. So the thing you have to understand as a shop owner is time off. You have to explain to them that time off requests for a doctor's appointment, for going down to the DMV to get plates, or whatever it is they're going to do, that a lot of times they may ask for time off for. Now, you're going to be a little more stingy about granting those days off because you're giving them Friday. Friday, they should be able to schedule those appointments and go do this, go to the pharmacy, do whatever. The only exception, and I do have like one of my employees just the other day, he was a little late. His dentist isn't open on Friday. Okay. So he scheduled a very early appointment. He asked if he could be a couple hours late. Fine. He came to us and said, hey, can I be a couple hours late? I'm going to work through my lunches the other 4 days to make up for the time. Fine. I don't care. But it allows them, they've got that day, because you have to understand that if you lose a technician or a service advisor for 1 day now, and you're a 4-day work week, you do not lose 20% of their production. You lose 25% of their production for the week because it's only 4 days. So keep that in mind and explain to them that that's why you may be a little tighter with granting days off, because when they're gone for a day, it's a bigger void that you miss in the overall performance of your shop for the week. Okay. The other thing you got to talk about is the holidays. Okay. This can get tricky. So there's 7 standard holidays. We all know them. So let's take 4th of July, for instance. Okay. If 4th of July happens to fall on, say, a Saturday, okay, almost every shop in your area, they're going to give either their staff Friday or Monday off. Would you agree? Nod your head if you think so. Okay. At my shop, if it's on a Saturday, that's their holiday. We aren't closed the Thursday or the Monday. Now, if 4th of July falls on a Tuesday, they get the day off paid. There's no extra day of pay for that week or anything, because the thing is, there's 7 major holidays. You're giving them 52 3-day weekends in a year. Once you explain that, it's usually not an issue. Because that's part of the two-way street that you have to explain, that there's going to be some years that, let's say Christmas falls on a Saturday, okay? Saturday, and then New Year's is going to be a week later. There's 2 holidays that the shop will still get 4 full days of production. But if you happen to look at the calendar like I got on my wall right now, this year, Christmas is on a Monday, and so is New Year's Day. There's going to be 2 weeks there where it's going to be a 3-day work week, and the shop's going to take a hit. So that's why you have to explain to them, yeah, they might be giving up that holiday pay, but when it's going to turn around with some years, the shop's going to take the hit for that too. And they got to understand it's a two-way street. If you have too many team members or staff members on your shop that have all those streets downtown named after them, you see them, it says one way. Okay, you can't have one-way staff members and have this done. They got to understand it's a two-way street. So you have to have that discussion about holidays. You also have to have the discussion with them about, what does a week's vacation mean now? It means 4 days, not 5. Okay, and the reason is, it seems kind of obvious, but you have to have these discussions because you have to get agreement. Okay, once you have agreement, then there's no issues. All right, the other thing you have to cover is, like with our shop, we used to be an 8 to 5 shop. Okay, now we are 7 to 5:30. Okay, you have to find out, talk with your major vendors. Are you going to have a parts supplier open and answering your phone calls at 7:15 in the morning? Are they going to be able to deliver you parts at 7:30? Being open is great early, but to get a good start, you need some potential parts availability and delivery drivers. We went to our biggest vendor, and they actually bring in a counterman early, and they bring a driver in a half an hour early just so they can service us. And those are situations where you have to understand, you're the customer. What we do with our customers is we find out what they need and want, and then we go about figuring out how to offer that. It's the same way with vendors. You can go to them, say, here's what I need and want. Can you offer that to me? And you'd be surprised how willing they are to bend things for you to make it fit, especially if you're a large client of theirs. The last thing, or not the last, but one of the other big things is you have to have good conversations with your UPS, FedEx, Speedy Delivery, or whatever, and let them know, hey, we're not here Fridays. Please don't be dropping that part off out front and leaving it there for on Thursday night or Friday morning and let it sit there all weekend. You have to have good conversations with those people. And a lot of times, what I found for the first couple of months, a reminder sign on the doors helped. Hey, we're not here today. There's a reminder as of, We went to a 4-day work week in August of 21. So I've been almost over a year and a half at it. So, and it took a couple months, then they kind of got the hang of it. The last thing that gets forgotten by many shops that go to 4-day work week is you have to change your open hours on your sign out front. You have to change your open hours on Google, Yelp, Facebook, your website. You have to make sure you change it everywhere so it doesn't reflect that, hey, it says you're open, how come you're not here? Okay. And that's something that you just got to make sure you do and get that out of the way, because it will create confusions with the customers if you don't. And then lastly, as an owner, you need to go through all your policies and procedures and see if there's any that need tweaked based on the new, work week. Like vacation policies, things like that, you might need to go in and reword those. So we're going to go back to the beginning. What do you need to do ahead of time? Like I said, it's a 6 to 8 week process to do it successfully. You have to start with your PR action up front, the public relations with your customers, and you've got to make it a win-win. All right. The way we did it, and a favorite way to do it, is you can't just make it all about you're making it better for your staff. The customer has to feel like there's a win in it for them. So you want to promote that, in today's climate with people missing, kids' things and functions and such, that you have decided to make a better workplace for your staff and create a better work-life balance. So what you're going to do is go to a 4-day work week. However, on those 4 days, we are going to be available for extended hours for you, Mr. and Mrs. Customer. You can drop your car off earlier. You can come in and pick it up later, so on and so forth. Make sure that there's a win in it for them, but also a benefit for why you're doing it with the staff. When we did ours, we got all kinds of comments, people stopping in, sending us emails, believe it or not, or commenting on our Facebook posts. This is awesome. It's nice to see a company care about their staff and do things for them. It really became a very big positive PR action for us, as well as a benefit for the shop. And then also, as soon as you make the decision for the 6 to 8 weeks beforehand, put a sign right on your front counter explaining, hey, as of this date, this is coming. The whole point is you don't want to spring it on customers. You want them to get a chance as best you can to get used to it. And also we took, and a lot of shops are very, very successful with, take a little note with the same thing that says on the little sign on the counter, and staple it or paper clip it to each and every invoice leading up to that date. The whole point is communication and communicating to them that this is why we're doing it. And include in every communication, include the better work-life balance for the staff. And it goes into explaining, in today's climate, both parents are working, they're missing kids' softball games, the theater presentations, they're running around, and that you want to make sure your staff has the chance to enjoy their family as well. And then the extended hours. Make sure those benefits for both staff and customer are on all those pieces of communication, so that they see the win in it as well, and it becomes a positive thing. All right, here's the advantages from a business standpoint, okay? Technicians are like turbochargers. They need to spool up in the morning and they spool down at night. So you have 2 less spool ups and spool downs a week, because they're already spooled up. They're just spooled up for an extra couple hours each day. So you get a little more consistent effort and energy, because technicians like to end the week on a done. They like to have a job done and start fresh on a new project Monday morning. And chances are, any of you that used to be open Saturdays and got rid of it, now you're only open 5 days a week. It's funny, there's a saying, the work needing to get done will spread itself out over the time allotted. Meaning, if you used to be a 6-day-a-week shop, or if there's 6-day-a-week shops that you know of, that technician's sitting there on Friday going, oh, it's almost 5 o'clock, but I got to be here tomorrow morning. I'll just finish it in the morning. But if tomorrow wasn't there, they're like, I got to crank this out and get it done. The same thing will happen subconsciously with the Thursday as it does the Friday. Okay. Here is a huge one: employee recruiting and retention. I will tell you, my staff has become so used to the 5-day work week. They don't want to give it up for nothing. They've really started to enjoy the benefits of a work-life balance, and they feel like they get more stuff done in their personal life. And then that reflects back over into the shop. When they show up Monday, they are fresher. They are more well rested. They are ready to hit the ground and go. Think about it. Have you ever been on a vacation, took a 7 or 10 day vacation, and especially like on a cruise, if you ever done that, when it gets to the end, have you ever had the thought of like, I'm ready to go home. I'm ready to be done. I'm ready to go home. They'll start to get a little bit of that when they have 3 days off. It's like, okay, I'm ready to go back to work. Not, crap, it's Monday, I got to go back to work. You will start to notice a shift in your team members that they're ready to go and hit the ground running Monday morning. It's not like dragging it on Monday morning, and you will see the change. It will happen. The other thing is you want to be the first in your community. You want to be the leader in the community, not the follower. You want to be the trendsetter. You want to get the most advantage out of attracting those team members that are looking, that might want a good work-life balance. Since I've done it, 2 other shops in the community have contacted me and said, hey, how'd you do it? And I said, well, I'll sit down and teach you what I teach other shop owners. Here's the price. Just so you know, I do a one-on-one class about this, one-on-one with a shop owner. It's $499. So you guys are actually kind of getting that for free right now. So I love to help other independent shop owners, so it's no skin off my behind. But through the coaching company, I actually charge $500 to do this and help them do the transition. Granted, there's a little more hand-holding in that, but I'm giving you all the highlights here. How has it worked for us? That's the first question. Well, last year was our first full year of doing the 4-day work week, our biggest year ever, by 11% over the prior record. It's just, we've never looked back, and I never will look back. It is, I can't tell you how world changing it is. It affects positively the personal lives beyond. I mean, at the holiday party every year, I can't tell you how often the spouses come up and say, it's so great. He loves working there. We love being a part of Anderson Automotive. It's so cool that you do the 3-day weekends every weekend. We see them more. There's more time and family time. It's appreciated by both halves. So understand that it's not just your team member. It's going to be everybody. Everybody that's doing it, that's touched by that member, will get the benefits of it. So I guess at this point, I'm pretty much, Paul, ready to ask questions, whatever you want, because I pretty much skimmed over the highlights. And if you're taking notes, that's kind of how you go about doing it. Obviously, you'll have local and state labor laws you'll need to check in with and see, make sure you're meshing with your laws. I did with Iowa, and there was things I needed to do, but it's all kosher. So
yeah, I mean, I've spoken to Max, your service writer, and I know he loves it because we spoke about it.
Oh, Max loves the 4-day work week.
Yeah.
He's got 3 little kids.
So I know Carlos does it also, and I think he mentioned about how easy it was to find staff when you're doing a 4-day week.
Oh, your recruiting efforts. I mean, if you say, hey, by the way, we only work 4 days a week, they go, what? Yeah, you make the same money, but you only have to come here 4 days. What's the catch? I mean, they actually, okay, so what's the catch? And when you explain them, there is no catch. You just got to, give me 10 hours of honest work on the 4 days you're here, and we'll call it a week.
Right.
I did no change to the pay plans here. They make the same money each week that they made before, same bonus program. They still have 40 hours within which to get the work done. It's just spread over 4 days instead of 5.
When he was talking about the work when we did 5 days a week, on Fridays, they pretty much drag, they just did whatever. I never worked Saturdays, but my Thursdays now is probably my biggest production day because they know we got to get the work out. The customers need it, because if not, the car's going to sit here for 3 days.
Yeah, because we used to call it the Friday thrash. Now it's the Thursday thrash.
Yeah,
it's the end of the week. It doesn't matter which day it's on.
See, my guys, they put out a lot more now on Thursday than they did on Fridays, because Fridays was like you said, they were winding down at 2 o'clock. Okay, I'm just going to do this little piddle stuff, and I'm done for the week.
Yeah, Thursday is obviously the biggest collection day for us too. I mean, it's huge.
Yeah. And then it's true what he says. When they come in Monday, they're ready to work because you are well ready. I know, I feel it. By Monday comes around, just like he said, I'm ready. Okay, I'm ready to go back to work.
I'm excited to see the customers again. I'm excited to come to the office. I mean, I'm energized to do it again. I'm not like, oh, I gotta go back to work. That's gone. It's gone.
Yeah,
Oh.
and I've had it where, like, interviewing people they'll come and tell me, man, my wife told me, it doesn't matter what you pay me, just take the job. 'Cause I can have a 3-day weekend.
And,
So
and that's a testament to how valuable it is to spouses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That work-life balance is a serious deal, guys. It is a serious deal.
Carlos,
Sounds
did
like
you
a
do a
longer-
5-day work week and then change to 4 days, or have you always done 4 days?
Yeah. No, I did a 5-day. I never believed in the 6-day work week, but I did 5 days. I did a little different though. He said 6 to 8 weeks. I thought about it for probably 6 weeks on how to do it. And I just talked to my guys and I say, hey, listen, this is what I'm thinking about. What do you all think? And of course they're all like, okay. I said, all right, we're doing it in 2 weeks. And the reason why is I think a little bit different when you were talking about telling the customers. My customers really don't come here that often, so even if I went 2 or 3 months, I still wouldn't reach them.
Yeah,
So I
you
just
can wait
go
them all.
on the internet,
Yeah.
Google and all that stuff.
Exactly.
And as they come in, I just tell them. And I've yet to have seen any. I think I maybe had one customer, and that was a doctor that said, "Oh, how can you take off on Fridays? That's when the professionals take off." And I said, "What do you think we are?"
Yeah.
But that
You
was
probably didn't like that much.
he didn't, but
Well, it's just like the guy walked in my shop years ago. He walks in all arrogant, looks around. You guys work on Corvettes here. I said, yeah, we sell Chevy. He didn't make an appointment.
And we also had a record year.
Better off to say no anyway.
15% more last year than the year before, and that's on a 4-day work week.
Yeah, and the thing is, the biggest fear I hear is, well, God, what if one of my good customers needs something on Friday and they're going to go somewhere else? Let me ask you a question. Any of you, you can either nod or shake your head. How many of you regularly have your customer call you, come in the same day, and expect the service the same day? Or do they call in, make an appointment, know it's going to be a day or two before you get to it anyway?
It's always the new employee or new customers that expect that.
And you know why they're a new customer? Because they've gotten fired from every other shop in town.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're new for a reason, especially if they aren't new because they just moved. If they've lived there 5, 10, 20 years and they're a new customer to you, there's a reason why they're looking for a new shop. They probably got fired from the last one. And that leads me to part of my training and coaching. I have a saying is, sometimes you just have to fire a customer. There are some customers where you're better off paying your technicians money to sweep the floor in an empty bay than work on their car. And we all know who those customers are. And so when you get that new one that's resided in your community for a long time, unless the shop they were going to closed up or the guy retired, there's a reason why they're looking for a new shop. So yeah, Jason, I would agree with you 100%.
Yeah, but some of those ones too, that they didn't necessarily get fired, but they didn't like the service they were getting.
Exactly.
So, you do good service, they don't care. And I can tell you probably 75% of the customers that come in and know we're off on Fridays will tell me, man, that's great that you treat your employees that way. That's
exactly. Awesome. And you know what? The customers that think that way, those are the customers you'll want.
Exactly.
Because they will appreciate you as a professional, not like the other ones that,
hey, Carlos,
I need that,
Is your schedule similar to Jim's? Start early in the morning?
We're 7 to 6.
7 to 6. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And when you say 7, somebody's there by 6:30, 6:45?
No, they're arriving at 7. I tell the customers 7:30 so that we can get the shop set up and going.
Yeah, we were going to do 7 to 6 originally, and they came to me and said, "Can we do 7 to 5:30 and we'll give up our 1-hour lunch to a 30-minute lunch?" I said, "That's entirely up to you." I cleared with the labor people here, and that's what we went to. We have people showing up to answer your question. We have guys showing. I got one guy routinely here by 20 till, and he's pulling out the shop van and stuff like that. I got another technician. Mostly they'll come in right about 10 minutes before. I got one guy, 7 o'clock. He rolls in every day, 7 o'clock. And at 5:30, they're all gone. But you know what? They get their work done.
But you know what the weird part is?
So you're no, say that first, and I got a couple questions.
When we worked 5 days a week and got off at 5, I can tell you at 5 o'clock, just like he said, the doors are shutting and they're leaving. We work to 6 now, and it's 10-hour days, and you would think that they would be ready to go by 4:35. I usually got to walk out there at 4:45 and say, hey guys, let's start cleaning up and go home, because they'll keep working. They'll tell me it's already 6 o'clock.
Yep.
And that
They
happens
get roll.
just
It's
about
like a
every day.
turbo. Once it's
Every day.
spooled up.
So
it's
Jim,
spooled up.
so Jim, you're 3 techs, 2 advisors, correct?
I have 3 techs, 1 service advisor, 1 general manager, who is the
Gotcha.
service advisor's backup if needed.
Sure, sure. And how many cars you doing a week?
Oh, it's gonna vary. I mean, we got our stats here. Depends on whether the big jobs or not, anywhere from 38 to 55,
Okay.
depending on if it's big jobs or not.
Carlos, you around there as well? How many techs? How many advisors?
No, I got 3 techs, and now I'm the only advisor. I had another one. I'm finding another one, but I have 3 techs. We do a lot of European cars, so we probably do about 25, 30 cars a week. But we're averaging 5, 6 hours
Sure.
per car.
Yeah. That's
Hang on,
always
you're
the way
averaging
you're-
5, 6
And
hours.
Yeah, I'm going to say probably closer to 5 hours per car on the Euros.
Well, on a Euro, an hour and a half of that's getting the damn splash
ain't easy.
off. You can change the
Get
oil.
all the plastics and splash shields off so you can get to it.
Well, they need
And,
those
how
splash
many-
stands, Paul, and those Europeans to catch all the oil that's leaking. See,
No, they're not that bad
But
anymore. Just
some
BMW.
of them's got the diaper on the splash shield as well. You know.
They
that's
all
just
have that.
BMW. That's just BMW. That's it.
Did y'all have either one of you have any team members that left because they simply couldn't make it to work on time, or
No.
everybody just adapted?
No.
I had one that had a hard time getting here on time. And I shifted him to 7:30 to 6:30 so he can but he was more like a helper. So I just made him stay later to bring in the cars in the shop and stuff.
Gotcha. That was going to be my next question. You ever have anybody that requested say a different hours versus if I was going to do this, I'd want everybody to be on the same page.
Yeah, I did when we were 5 days a week. I had a guy request, and I entertained it for a while, but it creates problems. It creates some resentment, some confusions, and things like that. And I do not recommend having guys with different hours unless it's like different departments. Like he had a shop helper, pulling in cars, sleeping floor, taking out trash. Different job title.
Yeah.
All the technicians should work the same hours. All your service advisors should work the same hours, unless you got like they take turns staying late for customers to come late to pick up cars if you offer that, something like that. But yeah, the hours to be selling work need to be the same, and all the service advisors need to be doing it at the same time. Otherwise, you might have service advisor A gave a bid and service advisor B now is trying to work the ticket with them later in the day, and there's too much chance for, yeah, that's that's like 2 technicians put one pulling ahead and one putting it back on. Not a good idea.
Yeah. I asked a few questions yesterday that you covered mostly today, but another one that I had was everybody performance based at both your all shops. In other words, commission or anybody hourly or
My guys are straight hourly guaranteed with a production based bonus based on billed hours. Okay.
Yeah,
And then,
so-
but all the bonuses, whether it's for the service advisor, manager, or my technicians, are GP based. Meaning the shop has to hit a certain gross profit, or nobody gets bonuses, because you have to have profit to pay bonuses.
however it is, just the question is that are they performance based paid? And so like they are. You as well, Carlos? Is your staff performance based paid as well?
Mine are they get hybrid pay, so they make hourly, and then plus they make a certain amount of money for every hour they turn.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
I've talked to a lot of shops nowadays that have wound back to an hourly. I grew up in flat rate, and I think flat rate, like old school flat rate, where you're going to make minimum wage or you're going to make whatever an hour. I think those days are over. I think nobody's going to come to work for you without a base guarantee. But I don't think I'll ever go away from a performance based pay scale. Everybody should be trying to get more done in the shop.
Well, the thing is the performance based things. I agree 100% with you on that. But always understand that when you're recruiting new team members, it isn't always money. Money isn't always.
You're right about that.
you know, so their performance compensation isn't always money. Sometimes it's PTO. So I'll give you an interesting story. I had a technician a few years ago, and I sat him down and I put him on a bonus structure for more money based on billed hours. And he was excited about it for a couple of weeks. And then he like started not caring. And I sat him down. I said, "Hey, Josh, what's up?" His name is Josh. I said, you killed it on this bonus thing, but then you kind of now you don't care. He goes, "Well, honestly, Jim, I'll be honest with you. I thought it was great. I made some extra money. I got on the tool truck, got to invest in some extra tools I needed. And then when the wife found out I spent that extra money on tools, she chewed my butt because he had a wife that did not see the value of him in spending money on tools. He says, so now when I make the extra money, she just takes it and spends it. I don't get any benefit from it anyway." I said, "Okay, so we'll do this." I said, "Instead of me giving you money, I will give you a tool credit bank." He says, "What?" I said, "Oh, the same amount you would have got for a bonus. I'll put it in an account for you, and it's your tool account. When you want a tool, you come to me and I'll write the check for it." He's like, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." Boom, he took off again. And it was a win-win for me too, because now I'm not giving him an $80 bonus that week that I got to do the taxes, everything. He has to pay taxes. I'm buying a tool for $80 that
Just
I
writing the tools off. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
but
that's
that's just it. You got to sit
good and
down and
creative.
ask the people, what do you want? And then base up. At one point, I had 4 different incentive programs in my shop at the same time.
I do right now.
Yeah, based on what motivates that person. Yeah.
Jason, I
I
know
do well.
you've got a few techs and quite a few bays. Are you considering a 4-day, or would you consider a 4-day work week?
Oh no, we're going to do it.
Look at that. I like a bit of positivity. We're doing it.
We're doing it. The factor is when and how. We've been talking to customers. I've talked to every one of my employees about it. We're just trying to get it down to where it's going to work 100%. Because once we do it, I don't want to go back, obviously. And one of the very interesting things, I set 2 of my lead techs down yesterday. I got 3 full-time techs and 1 part-time tech, and then myself whenever I'm out there. But they all kind of looked at me and like, okay, if we're closed on Friday, are you going to be here? Are you going to go home and enjoy your time off? That was actually pretty important to them, and it kind of shocked me that they was worried about that. Because I do some mobile stuff, and I was like, well, maybe that'll be my day to do mobile. I'll just do everything on Fridays. Yeah, so they were very concerned to make sure that if we do this 4-day work week, that I'm benefiting from it as well as not just the employees.
I think
And
that
you
says
brought
a
up
lot
an
about
excellent point,
you.
Jason. If I may, Paul, one of the things that you need to understand now, Jason, you own your shop, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a partner?
Nope.
Okay. What's the name of the shop?
Top Notch Auto.
Okay. And it's owned by you. So if you're the owner, act like it. It's not a matter of when you're going to do it. It's a matter, okay, I'm going to do it this date. The thing with stuff like this, because I'm going to do it when I get around to it. With a lot of my consulting clients, this is something we work on. You'll get around to it. Pick a target date. As soon as you put a task and you give it a target date, it creates the urgency to get all the loose ends tied up and get it done.
Mm-hmm.
If you just pick a date and announce this is when we're going to do it, everything will get done in time.
Yeah, we're actually, the 1st of July is my goal, honestly. I was actually waiting on this meeting to we're actually having a meeting at lunch tomorrow to talk about this subject. I've been putting feelers out, trying to get some ideas, starting to build a list of questions up and how to answer things. As of last week, I would have had 5 techs. Unfortunately, we had to get rid of one, but my idea was to be open Monday to Thursday or Monday to Friday, but split shifts. But I'm finding that's not good. Yeah, Jim.
I had a couple clients try it, and it was a disaster.
Yeah, Jim kind of confirmed it. And my feedback from my employees are, okay, well, who's going to get the Fridays off? And then you got to, then you're dealing also with, okay, Jimmy needs off on Friday, so he's gonna have to switch with Sam and blah 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 blah, and then it's just gonna be a mess.
That's just it, because then the service advisors don't know which one's off, which one's staying, that they switched, and then they're gonna overcommit that guy to getting that head job done and not knowing that Jimmy and Sammy switched or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's still, ooh, it's a recipe.
Yeah.
for disaster.
There's a couple shops here in Ohio that are distance from me that I've met that I know they do it. So I was going to reach out to them as well today, actually, and kind of get how things have worked for them. One's a tire shop, so they're strictly just tires. So things, well, I won't say strictly tires. They do a little bit of repair, but Saturday's a big day for them, so they work Saturdays. But they close Mondays because Monday's a low production day for tires for whatever reason. For them anyhow. So I want to get their feelers. But my techs, they love it because they could come. We'll be open 7 to 6 is what our hours are. We have an hour lunch. It's 15 minutes to get just about anywhere around here. So by the time they go somewhere and come back, there's a half hour gone already. They didn't even eat. So the customers will love that side of it because everybody's rushing to get here by 5 o'clock. We do a lot of remote payment, a lot of remote pickup, or after hours pickup is what I want to say. So I'm kind of excited to see. I've mentioned to a couple of customers, and at first they kind of looked at me sideways, and then just like you just said, Jim, then they're like, "That is awesome," you know. And most of those people are the ones that already work 410s, so they understand that benefit. It's kind of interesting how you brought up the vacation thing. I'm already kind of familiar with it because I'm a firefighter and I got some friends that work some odd shifts. So their vacations are structured that way too. It's not by day, it's by hours. So, they might work 3 days a week and, they want a week of vacation. Well, it's a little harder to come by that way. So I'm kind of glad you really brought that up. And yeah, I mean, and then on top of that, I never thought about your technicians. If you only have 4 days and you lose a little bit of production, that's huge versus a 5 day, you don't lose as much. You lose that 20 instead of 25.
Yep.
So that's something I didn't even think about. So that was a great point.
And another point, if I may, for you mentioned July 1st, and you can do what you want, but may I suggest you push that to July 10th or 17th, which are
Yeah.
because you already got enough goofiness with hours with the 4th of July holiday at the beginning of July. And your customers are going to be off a day or two as well. I would honestly push it to say the 17th because it gives you a little over it gives you almost 5 weeks to inform them because you got to kind of throw 4th of July week out. It's not going to be normal. And that would give you 4 solid weeks to get it ready and announced and understood. But you do what you want. But as a coach, I would recommend that would be my recommendation. It's my nickel's worth of advice for free, but you do what you want. Yeah,
my goal was actually the first of this month. Unfortunately, we had some things going on that I just wasn't able to concentrate on it. So we kind of here we are going in the second week of June and still haven't done it. So
that's why I said just pick a date in July, settle on and say, okay, it's going to happen here, and your crew will get behind you and do it.
And then Jim, yesterday you mentioned that you had a standing practice that if we needed to get something done, or if the production was down, or if y'all goofed up enough, we're gonna work Friday. Carlos, you got the same kind of understanding?
Well, let me clarify that really quick. Mine was specifically for the 3-day holiday weeks. Like 2 weeks, you're gonna have they're gonna have 3 of them every year. Thanksgiving week, Memorial Day, Labor Day. You're gonna have 3 3-day weeks every year. Okay. My caveat was with them on those weeks specifically that if something happened and a job was promised by the end of the week and we didn't get it, I may ask somebody to come in on a Friday morning and finish it up. Not the whole crew, just, one front and one back. They agreed. We have yet to have to enact it though.
How about you, Carlos?
Yeah, I've told them that if we have to. I've never had to do it. Now, I will tell you, I've had I got one guy that has come in, not every Friday. He was actually the only one that was he liked the work. So he's like, man, I don't know if I want to take Fridays off or whatever, but he has come in, like if he has a big job, a real big job, he's like, man, can I come Friday when I'm by myself and do it? And I tell him, yeah, he can, but he's got to, you got to go home by 1 or 2 o'clock. You can't stay all day. And he does.
I recently interviewed a tech. I've told this story before. I didn't want anything to do with him. He showed me his paycheck stub from last year. He made $190,000, which is great.
Why is he
Fantastic. He
looking?
billed 4,000 hours. Well, I'm gonna get through it quick. So he billed 4,000 hours by himself last year. Hates the job, hates the people, hates the environment. And I said to him, I said, well, are you looking for a 40-hour week? He said, no, I want to work more. I said, well, what are you working now? He said, I get there about 4:30 in the morning, leave about 6 in the evening, and work every Saturday that I get an opportunity. I said, dude, you should start a shop or be a mobile mechanic. I don't want anything to do with you. Like, keep looking. I just,
He's gonna get burned out.
Yeah, tell him to become a shop owner if he wants to put in extra hours. They'll get him for free.
that's what I said. I was like, dude, you should just have your own shop. Like you're at the top of your game. You're not going to make any more money. You're not going to work any more hours. Like, you are there. And he also had things he didn't do, like dash work or engine work, because of his back problems.
Why?
Yeah, no.
Now, was that guy a dealer tech? Was he making that money in a dealer?
He sure was.
Yeah.
Imagine
He
that.
sure
Yeah.
was. But he wasn't always a dealer tech. He'd been at some big box, whatever you want to call them, like a Monroe muffler brake or
Oh, yeah.
tire discounters, that
Oh, yeah.
just a full service, whatever.
You did the right thing.
Junkyard.
Jason, one of the things that you were talking about that the customers do love, now that I close at 6 because they can come later and pick up the car, that has definitely made a huge difference.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we even actually have, I think they'll love it coming in early, even because we have a really big, I mean, obviously people want to drop their cars off before they're going to work or something like that. I think that'll even spark that, make them a little bit more happier. One of the biggest things we're going to probably, our biggest challenge is making sure we're planned out on parts. That is going to be our biggest hiccup, I think, which we do pretty good now, but I hate to have a guy come in here, get started at 7:15. He realizes he needs this gasket to put the thermostat on. You know,
We plan ahead for
Get with
that.
your
I know what's
vendors.
coming in the morning, and I'll order all the parts the day before. So when they come in, they're here. Same thing in the afternoon, just kind of guess at what's coming.
Mhm.
or what's
Yeah.
there, or
That'll
all
be
the
a-
part-
that'll be a discussion I'll have with my service writers as well. That, hey, before you guys go home, we got to make sure we got stuff here. One of my service writers drives right past the parts store on the way home. So if he needs to stop and pick that part up, all of our parts deliveries shut off about 4:30. If we order anything past that, they're not coming. Now we could go get them, but they're not going to come at 10 till 5 and send a truck out. They just,
Now, if they stop at 4:30, do they start earlier in the morning?
no, 8 o'clock.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't get the real early morning run, but they'll deliver to me to just about 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we get
They just
delivery
simply don't have
till-
the drivers are not there. That's the problem. I think they would as a company. That's not a problem, but all their guys are retired, and I mean, they don't have no young guys at all.
7:15 to about 5:30 is our delivery window.
Mhm. And that could be something I could discuss with them as well.
But don't let that stop you, because it might take you a little bit to get it, get them used to doing that. And then once you get it rolling, you'll be okay.
Yeah, the technician that forgets to ask for that stuff and it burns him a couple times, he'll get used, he'll be reminded.
Mhm.
They'll figure it out. It's just like anything else. They'll learn from it. I mean, they'll learn from their mistakes. Good judgment comes from experience. Experience comes from bad judgment.
Mhm. I think one good thing too is being that one extra hour early in the morning, because we try to get all of our diag work is done as much as possible in the morning. That way we get estimates made, parts ordered, have them ready for next day or whatnot. But a lot of our cutoffs are right around 10 o'clock in the morning. So that gives us a little bit of extra time to get some of those parts that aren't immediate parts, I guess is what I want to say.
And
That's what-
that's one of the
that's
reasons
what
why
I'd
we went
say.
to
We-
4-day week, because my cutoff is 10 o'clock, and getting here at 8, we were missing that cutoff.
Mhm.
And that's one of the reasons why we went
Typically-
to 7 o'clock.
Yeah, typically first thing in the morning, we're checking cars out. So if we start checking them out at 7 and then we're ordering parts by 8, now we're just hitting the ground running harder.
Absolutely.
I think.
Now, there's other things that I can't really get into another time, but that are critical to have in place in your shop whether you're 5 or 4 day work week, both. But that you really have to be very diligent on with the 4 day work week to get the most from your staffs. And it has to do with how you communicate with them on a daily basis. But we can go over that some other time, but
Yeah, I
there's
mean, we
no
haven't
point to
got a
make it
hard,
even
we haven't got
better.
a hard stop here, Jim. If you want to talk,
Yeah.
carry on.
Well, no, it's just, it's another half an hour. I mean,
Right.
it's, yeah, so, because the communication side of what I teach is, you can't just do it in 5 minutes, but there's parts of enhanced communication. And when you do that, at certain times you have team meetings and production meetings, staff meetings and such like that, and how you go about them and content within them. And yeah, there's a lot to it.
Could I take a wild guess and say that if you don't write it down, it didn't happen?
Well, no, everything's always written down for recommendations, but communication, when you do it, it has to be consistent, it has to be every day, and it has to be at the same time every day. So that it becomes habit and expected, but then it also has to be delivered. And that's kind of like the huddle before the football team hikes the ball. You gotta have, it's critical. You gotta have it. The thing is the quarterback doesn't need to be able to do the wide receiver's job. The lineman, the blocker on the offensive line doesn't need to be able to do the quarterback's job. But he needs to know how, if he doesn't do his job, it's going to affect the quarterback. So your guys know that Billy's going to need the alignment rack at 10. They can't be dilly-dallying and tying it up because he heard in the meeting that he's got a waiter alignment coming at 10. You know what I mean? That there's ways that the overall communication has to happen. Not that the other guys have to do each other's jobs, but they need to be aware how if they don't do theirs right, it's going to affect the other team member. So, and that gets down to even ordering the parts at the end of the day, like you're talking about, Carlos. So absolutely.
Would this work for a smaller shop? Say somebody who's a owner who's only got 1 or 2 bays, 1 technician.
But he's not going to promise he's not going to stay that way very long. If he's a 4 day work week, he's going to have people lined up wanting to work for him.
Exactly.
No, seriously, I am dead
Yeah,
serious.
true that.
I have a problem.
So
I'm not fine.
obviously, we speak to a lot of shops, and that's one of the things that we get is, well, I can't expand because I can't get technicians.
This is how many people want to work here right now.
Wow.
Recruiting? No, it's choosing. I had, God, it was, anyway, I had a guy who moved on. He just changed. He got out of the industry altogether. I had his position filled in 3 hours. There's, again, this could be another talk we do some other time, Paul, about
Sure. Yeah.
culture and such. It's about making your shop the destination to work. That's where you want to go work. If you're looking for a job, that should be your destination. That should be your goal. If you don't Google and like take Google, for example, they have 2.5 billion applications sitting there. Do you think Google posts a help wanted ad? No, they go to their file and pick and choose because it's become the place if you're in tech to try to go get a job. You need to make your shop the place. If you're going to be an automotive service, that's where you want to try to get in at. As soon as you do that, this whole recruiting problem goes away. And there's a lot to that. And it's part of another one of the facets of what I coach is it's all about working yourself out of a job. Like right now, if we walk out in my shop and you said, "Hey Jim, what's that red Honda here for?" I go, "I don't know. I couldn't tell you who owns it or what it's even here for. It's not my job. I've worked myself out of a job." As far as that goes, I'm in charge of high-end marketing and financial decisions, PR and marketing creation, hiring and firing, and overall company culture. That's my job. That's it. That's all I do. Oh, I take care of the fish aquariums. That's on
The
my
last time you turned a wrench, Jim?
on a customer's car.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
can't
wow.
remember the last time, other than like holding a wrench for one of my guys or something. Hey, Jim, can you hang on to this real quick? I can't. The last time I had a car dispatched to me, probably 2-3 years ago, and it was a pre-purchase inspection from one of my longtime customers that wanted me to look at it. I want Jim to look at it. Okay. But no, I don't. turn. I have another internal company where I buy and sell retired police cars and government vehicles just for fun and play money. I do a lot on those but that's my own thing I do for me.
Right.
Yeah, but customer cars, no, I don't.
It's so funny you brought that up because just yesterday, a really good friend of mine came in for some breaks after hours. He helps me out a lot. So I'm like, okay, I'll help you out. Literally, I have not done a set of brake pads in 4 or 5 months probably. And I'm like, I didn't even realize it until I was actually doing it. I'm like, holy crap, I don't even remember the last time I cleaned the hub and went through all this procedure of doing a brake job. And it was kind of it was a good moment, honestly. So
I have to share something with everybody. We had something happen in our shop today. Swear to God, I've seen it online, and we've all seen the pictures of, the guy that car got towed in because it wouldn't start to put in his new battery, and he didn't take the plastic caps off. He just put the cables over, stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Swear to God, this car came in. Hey, we just bought this from our buddy. We want to buy it from our friend. He's a mechanic. And he said he put brand new brakes on it, and it needs a rear wheel alignment. This is an old Valero, and we want you to check it all over as well. Well, the new brakes he put in the front, I swear to God, the inboard pad left side was in backwards. The friction material was against the piston. The backing plate was rubbing the rotor. Never seen it in real life. Swear to God, guys, it happens. It isn't just photoshopped. And the rear alignment, it was towed out like a banshee. He had jacked it up on the rear trailing arm, and that it was like in a U shape. So they got a front and rear trailing arm. So it shortened the rear one, so it towed the wheel out. I said, there
But he
ain't,
charged less than
there
you.
ain't enough in that cam for me to adjust for that. Yeah, so it was a nice car, except for the things that their mechanic friend touched. So
Well, that's why we don't have mechanics. We have technicians.
exactly. Yeah.
Hey,
That's
I
why
gotta
the
run,
doctors are
everybody.
always practicing
Yeah.
That's right.
medical practice.
I got to run. Everybody
Any
have
other
fun.
questions for Jim before we go?
Yeah, I've got to get going if anybody has any questions.
I get the feeling we'll have to ask you to come back, Jim.
Anytime. I love talking and helping other shop owners, and there's all kinds of topics that I teach and go on. In fact, I'm putting a course together. A shop owner requested out in Pacific Northwest. I'm going out to Oregon to do a workshop for their front staff and a little bit on culture and front efficiencies. So just about anything
Hey, and
we can put together a little presentation for. Yeah.
I really appreciate
good.
it, Jim. I
All
really
right, have a good day,
appreciate
everybody.
everybody coming along.
All right. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Jim.
And I'll send everybody recordings. Thank you, Carlos. Thanks, Jeff. Thank
Thanks.
you. Bye.
See you all next time.
See you next time.